I had been an authority. I had made this course about permaculture chickens, and now I'm going to go through a challenge and start showing our real life. All of a sudden, we had a sick chicken. And I remember posting this video, this very early on, made me sick, made me so sick, I had to take a nap. The expert's not supposed to make mistakes. It blew up. And you know what happened, Tim? That became our first viral video, and that launched our full-time career on YouTube.
So many of us will just sit down, myself included, we'll just sit down and we'll just be like, okay, here's what you need to know. Step 1, step 2, step 3. And there is a place for that on YouTube. It's an okay way to make content if you're just trying to go after views. It's probably the most competitive way to get views because there's a lot of other people who are just doing the same tutorial how-to content you are. But if you can take that same educational content and wrap it in an engaging story that not only gives someone the right information, but delivers it in a way that actually starts to feel something and is wrapped around core beliefs that make people really revolve around community, because the strongest communities revolve around core beliefs, like shared beliefs that we have in common, right? Not just common interests. It is so much more powerful for your channel. And this guy does it amazingly well. He has a homesteading channel. His videos, could easily just be about how to raise chickens and plant a garden, and he could have some success. But instead, he's doing something very different where it is working for him to the tune of he's closing in on 1 million subscribers, hundreds of thousands of views per video, and he is rising above the competition by wrapping his education in very warming, engaging, heartfelt stories from the education he provides. And today, I want to dig into this with him and hear his process for how he does that so people like you and I can learn from him and do the same.
I'm Justin Rhodes from Western North Carolina. Happy family, growing a lot of our own food. We've taught and inspired millions of people at this point to do just that.
So when you are making some of your videos, what does that look like for you? Are you intentionally trying to craft stories, especially for this person who's like, you know what, I'm just doing Photoshop tutorials, or I'm just, teaching people how to change the alternator in their lawnmower?
When we came into this game, it turns out that everybody else on YouTube at that time in homesteading was putting out instructionals. We happened to end up being the first vloggers. We weren't even on YouTube as we entered it. We weren't even really consuming it, except, find something out here and there. You had consumed one of our first products, permaculture chickens. We had produced this film, and we knew that to continue growing our business, we wanted to continue growing our audience, and we wanted to nurture who we already had. And so I was blogging to do that, writing, and with our homesteading. So yeah, homesteading, just like anything, can be very, how can a chicken lay an egg without a rooster? It can be very, you just want to find the information. But there's a lifestyle behind it. There's a story behind that answer. And so we started just saying, and I had been an authority. I had made this course about permaculture chickens, and now I'm going to go through a challenge and start showing our real life, incorporate Rebecca, incorporate the kids, and taking vlogging to the homestead level. And our goal from the very beginning, we had 2 goals. We want to make people laugh and learn. And every single episode, we actually had an email list going into it. And we actually sent our email list, our first show, our pilot show, before it ever went public. Did you laugh and did you learn something were the first 2 questions on our survey. And they happen to do that.
Do you feel like that's something that any educator just focus on making someone laugh and learn? Because some people are funnier than others. And, so is that something that you feel like every educator should just take and run with? Or like the principle of having some goals to the content beyond education?
It's probably going to be personal. And I don't want somebody to try too hard to make somebody laugh. I mean, I don't want you to try to be a stand-up comedian and come up with a bunch of terrible dad jokes.
Yep.
Just
some people
to try to get
stop that part right there.
Our intention for people to laugh isn't even me trying to make people laugh.
So when you are going out through your day, do you think okay, here's the video I'm going to make, and you go make that? Or are you like, here, let's just see what happens today and then see if I can turn that into an educational? What's step 1, the Justin Rhodes process for making a video? Do you start with the concept, or you just go through your day and then figure out the concept at the end? Or what does that look like for you?
I do feel better the days that we have something that could be a story almost in and of itself, usually that's a project because I mean, on homesteading, we're milking the cow every day. How many times can I shoot that? How many times can I make a story of that? But if this morning, for example, I can see that this morning our little project was replace these old gates that just weren't working the way they were opening, and they weren't allowing the animals to get around nicely. And so we got a hold of some new gates, and we pulled those old gates off and hung those new gates in. And that is a story. Now, if I just did that, that might be a 3 minutes. It might end up being 3 or 4 minutes. I could turn the camera on and say, oh, here, we got a 6-foot gate, step 1, step 2, step 3. I could do that. Now, that would take me back to blogging, and that's just blogging. That's just not as fun. And that you're missing a lot of the point of a story. And I get tempted to do that, Tim. I get tempted to go out there and just get the good bits of me hanging this gate and me just looking like a champion.
That's right.
But to get this gate going, we got to get the measuring tape. We got to get the drill. We got to get the bit. And it turned into a whole drama. It's a mini drama. I have kids. I have 4 kids. And if ever I get organized, and I'm not the best, but if I have any organizational moment where I did good, I put the tool back. The problem is my kids know that. And then they know where that tool is, and they don't put it. They get it and put it back. So we documented. Where's this drill bit? I had a nice drill bit. Oh goodness, we don't know where that is. So okay, what can we do? We're gonna get this one drill bit that's not as long, so it can't go all the way through the 6-inch post. So we'll have to measure on both sides and do that. That you're tempted to leave that out, but that's the gold. That's the obstacle.
Yeah. Justin's explaining the story, but these principles do translate into whatever content that you're making, which is 1, who's the character?
Yeah.
2, what do they want? 3, why can't they have what they want? And then 4, and you didn't tap into this one in this example, but I've seen you in others in your channel, is 4, what's at stake if the character doesn't get what they want? Yeah. If I don't fix this, like the cows are going to get out, we're going to lose them, or like they're going to wander into the street where they could get hit by a truck or, or lots of other things. And so you don't really have to be interested in permaculture and in gardening and animals and chickens in order to start getting engaged with this type of story, which I think is part of what's contributed to your growth of going from, like, you're getting close to 1 million subscribers, 800,000 or something last I checked. And so I'm sure that of that, probably a small portion of those people are actually homesteaders, but you're reaching a broader audience because people are falling in love with the stories and the characters, even though they're learning things along the way.
I think it comes up naturally because I'm thinking about it. I didn't have to think through my head this morning, oh, I should make sure I tell them what's going to happen if I don't do this, because it naturally occurred. We got the first gate off, and now we have nothing. So now we're like, and I said it to the camera, now we're committed. Now we have to get this new gate up, and it's got to work. We got to measure it right, or else we're not going to have a gate here.
Right. And it's creating tension in the mind of the viewer. Will it happen? Will he get what he wants? And so now the tension in the brain of the viewer is what's holding their attention, giving you that watch time you want, getting them to the end of your content to hopefully click and watch another good story.
People are learning something. They might not even know they're learning something. It's just classic immersion learning.
What's also happening is they're building a perceived relationship. In fact, last summer, I had to buy a 0-turn lawnmower to take care of some stuff on our property, and I needed to change the alternator on it. But I am not mechanically inclined, and it took me a while to figure out what was even wrong with them in the first place. When I did, I went on YouTube. I found the perfect video. It was exactly undo this bolt, undo that bolt, take this part off, and I was exactly what I needed for my model lawnmower. And then I watched it in reverse and put it all back together, and it was perfect. But if you would ask me about 3 hours later, like, hey, Tim, whose channel was that on? Who was that guy in the video? I would have been like, Like it was a good video, but I don't remember who that person is. There was no relational connection that was established. He gave me exactly the info I needed, but he's forgettable. That is a really critical piece that a lot of educators are missing, is they're trying to position themselves as the expert. And that doesn't get people to emotionally engage with you, because a character, any hero that we follow in any story, the hero has some flaw. They have some weakness, and every single one of them in a good story needs a guide who comes along and equips them with that proverbial sword that they're going to use to go finally get the thing that they want. And I think your business is a great example of show your weaknesses, show your mistakes, show your struggles. That actually is what builds the trust that gets people to be like, I'll make a transaction with Justin because I trust him and I identify with him. He's human.
So I hope somebody can watch this and be like, yeah, okay, I'll be more vulnerable. It's going to be okay. I was that guy. I was that lawn mowing guy who knew everything. And then we got into this YouTube game, and all of a sudden we had a sick chicken. We talked to Mr. Google Pants, finding out this chicken must be egg bound. So harvest her earlier than you might have because she's miserable. And that was a tough decision. We ended up putting her out of her misery. And we're vlogging. This is what happened to us today. Here's the apron-wearing permaculture chicken ninja master and a chicken dying, perhaps before it should. And I remember posting this video, this very early on, made me sick, made me so sick, I had to take a nap. Why did it make me so sick? Because apron-wearing permaculture chicken ninja master is not supposed to make mistakes. The expert's not supposed to make mistakes. I woke up from that nap. Way more comments than usual. Thank you. Thank you for showing that it happens to you too. That's what it was. It blew up. And you know what happened, Tim? That became our first viral video. And that launched our full-time career on YouTube.
Oh, awesome.
I mean, that replaced average American income, putting the fat hand out of our ministry. Because I was willing, because the expert was willing to swallow his pride and show that we're not perfect, that we don't know everything, and we don't always have the answer. And, that video did so well, I ended up doing a sequel to it after we knew more and could speak to that.
That's great. Yeah. So you're regularly showing mistakes. You're risking vulnerability. That's like when someone wants to follow a hero, that is what gets us to care. So 1, who's the character? 2, what do they want? 3, why can't they have what they want? 4, what's at stake if they don't get what they want? 5, who or what comes along and helps the character do what they couldn't do before? In your case, it was Mr. Google Pants, right? There's someone who comes along and helps this character and equips them. And then 6, how do they ultimately get what they wanted? That's where most people then end the story is, the character got what they wanted. But you do actually number 7 too, Justin, which is really important. The difference between a story that people like and a story that people love is they like a story where the character gets what they wanted, but they love a story where number 7, how is the character transformed by this process? They want to see that transformation. The character at the beginning was like, how am I going to do this? I'm stressed out. I might lose my cow tonight if I don't get this gate fixed. And at the end, they're like, I'm satisfied, and it's you with your wife, and you can see that all is right in the world. I think that's the one thing a mistake a lot of educators make is they think it's actually about the lawnmower, or it's actually about the thing I'm trying to teach. But it's actually what people really want is to experience transformation in their own lives. That's why they're coming to you for education in the first place. And that's what people say, he makes good videos. The words we would put to that is it made you feel something.
You hit the nail on the head. It's about the transformation. I didn't know it at the time. I didn't know the art of storytelling. I know the words for it. But I think I remember right in that video, it's been so long, the Fat Hen video. At the end, I think Rebecca and I are sitting on the swing, just giving our best guess at what happened. That little recap was that. I think it was, you can see our transformation in that. In the least, you see that we're learning.
Yeah.
And that's the transformation.
Wow. Thank you, Justin. I had so many good takeaways from that conversation with Justin. Number 1, show the human side of yourself and what you're doing. Don't make it just about the how-to process, but bring in other elements outside that process as well. Number 2, he does allow to risk vulnerability, and he's not afraid to show that he's not an expert and sometimes does get something wrong. And in fact, that actually increases the human connection that people feel with him and his content, and they will with you too. Number 3, he he's talked about just starting his content and his videos straight with the desire and the obstacles, and then getting into those stakes like as soon as possible. Now, we didn't talk about this with Justin in my conversation, but one thing that Justin often does is he teases the desire and the obstacles of the story inside his title and thumbnail. So people are already feeling that tension. They're already curious. That element of tension in the brain is already there even before someone clicks. And then when they click, when they get right into the story, it's already right into the obstacles that he as a character is facing. Number 4 is follow a proven storytelling structure. Like Justin didn't make this up. I didn't make this up. This has been something that's been effectively holding people's attention for hundreds and hundreds of years, maybe thousands of years. So see if you can answer those 7 story questions in order, even before you hit record on your camera, if at all possible. If you can't, at least start the process and look for the opportunities to record the obstacles as they pop up. And now hopefully if you follow that framework, you know what to look for and how to craft a better story from your content as a result. A little tip from me also that goes a little bit beyond all of this is to take your education and turn it into a challenge. Instead of it just being how to build this dresser, maybe instead make it, my wife thinks our current dresser is really outdated and old. She showed me this picture of what she wants our new dresser to look like, and I just wanted to see if I could build it. Right? So now you know who the character is, the wife. There's transformation that she wants in her bedroom or wherever this thing is. And now you see like this is what the guy is trying to do. The husband, he's like, now you know what he wants. And he's teasing like, I don't know if I can do this. And now you're more curious to see how does this happen. And you'll learn how to build a dresser in the process, but taking a normal how to build a dresser and turning it into, let me see if I can do this, it creates a lot more intrigue, a lot more attention that holds people's attention better. A great example of this would be the channel Fix This, Build That. Justin's is a great example of this too. And just think about more like, not just straight up the facts, but how do I humanize this so that people actually connect to me and the story that we're telling here through our educational content. If you want to see more about how Justin does this, there's a link to his channel in the show notes of this podcast episode. Go down there, click it, and learn a lot from him. I know it will blow you away. Even if you're not in the farming, you're going to learn a lot about how to craft good stories and how to turn education into amazing, engaging stories that actually engage people and converts, in his case, in my case, and other people's too, into good transactions that grows a business as a result.